Now, this is one of the more important videos you're listening to. There is so much conversation around what you should do in your 20s and how do you manage to succeed in your 20s. Someone said you should work for 18 hours a day. Someone said you should kill yourself. So, how much of this is true? How much of this is false? So, I'm going to take you through that in terms of how do you manage your 20s. To be honest, there's a lot of nonsense that's going on social media. And also, when I was in my 20s, I wish someone had told me this so that I could have planned my 20s better. But now that in my 30s, in my mid 30s, I'm going to give you a perspective in terms of how you should manage your 20s. And before we start, do subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon so that the next time I make a video, you just come to know about it without fretting over it. So let's get started. I think the single biggest principle of your 20s is there are many balls in life. Think of education, work, physical health, mental fitness, relationships, love, fun, travel, passion. And the single biggest principle in your 20s is to balance all of them. Anybody who tells you that ignore everything else, do only one, is giving you a jackload of BS. So it's a BS of the highest order. So the single biggest principle is balance all these various balls. So let's just take them one by one, and I'll give you a practical guide in terms of how to approach it. So let's start with education. Now, by the time you're entering the 20s, most likely you finished a bachelor's degree. And in my view, a master's you should do because it helps. A master's is not necessary, but I generally think any master's degree that you do, it helps. It helps from a knowledge perspective, it helps from a learning perspective, a brand perspective, a network perspective. You probably go to a different place, you learn about culture. So a master's is not necessary, but I think it's generally very helpful. So the first thing in terms of education, you should look to do your master's, although not necessary, but I think it increases your probability of success. Now, the second thing let's come down to is work. And there is so much conversation around this. You should work 18 hours, you should do this, 7 years of life are very critical. So all this is truckload of BS of the highest order. So this is how you manage your career in the 20s. What is true is 20s are a source of incredible learning. And the way you manage learning is to do different things every 18 to 24 months. So whenever you're working, take up a different role every 18 months or every 24 months. A different role can be a different geography, a different function, or anything different. And it need not be that you're leaving the company. It can be in the same company, but 18 to 24 months, you should keep shifting. Do not get into that comfort zone. So if you keep shifting every 18 to 24 months, you will keep learning, you will keep picking up new skills. The second part of your work is a lot of conversation around you should burn the midnight oil, the 3 a.m. oil, and this is actually not true. Even in your 20s, you should look to work only 8 or 9 hours every day, because if you get used to working 14, 16 hours, you can never get away from that habit. So you should look to work only 8 or 9 hours every day and focus on the quality of work. To be honest, you can sit 20 hours in a day, change colors in an Excel sheet, but you're not adding any value to yourself. So look to work only 8 or 9 hours every day. Try that habit early. And honestly, if that lack of face time costs you a promotion or costs you that increment, it is worth it. It is genuinely worth it. So focus on quality learning. And if it means you're going 6 months slower, 1 year slower, it is completely worth it. The next thing, let's move on to physical fitness. And in the 20s, most people do not give enough emphasis to it. But there's a lot of research that has been done that says people who are physically fit, people who are mentally fit have outstanding careers in the long term. There have been so many stories of people who've done very well in the 20s, only burnt the midnight oil and just faded away completely in their 30s because either their health wasn't supporting or they just burnt out. So the single biggest success you need to do in your 20s is focus on physical fitness. So identify what works for you. For me, running works, running, jogging, walking, yoga, cycling, swimming, tennis. Identify what works for you. Do that every day for an hour. Do that every day without fail for an hour, and you're setting yourself up for long-term success. The next question that comes is 20s are a phase of learning. How do you learn every day? And there is again so much nonsense on social media. You need to do this course, you need to learn that course. So learning is very simple. Just follow what I'm going to tell you. 1, read the newspaper every day. Pick up the Times of India, ET, Economic Times, or Mint. Just spend 1 hour on it every day. That is the single biggest source of learning. Second, listen to a few important podcasts every day. When you're going for a run in the morning, just switch them on your podcast. Listen to Mint Business News or any business news podcast. Listen to Wall Street Journal, it gives you good sense of what's happening in the world. Listen to Economist. All of these are free. So just spend 30 minutes listening to podcasts. Watch a few YouTube videos. You can start watching videos of mine. Follow a few LinkedIn influencers. This is all you need to do for a learning perspective. Just spend an hour and a half reading the newspaper, listening to podcasts, watching a few interesting videos every day, and 80% of your learning journey, honestly, is done. The next part people look at is, which I think most people forget, but a lot of you are talking about it these days, is building an alternate career. It's very, very important. One of the big trends in the next 10 years is going to be everyone's going to have multiple careers. So identify what's your passion early. Whether for me it was writing and speaking, what it is for you. It could be photography, it could be teaching, it could be doing stand-up, it can be anything. Identify that early and work on it for 2 hours every weekend. 2 hours on a Saturday, maybe 2 hours on a Sunday, or 1 hour on a Saturday, 1 hour on a Sunday, and work at it every weekend. What gives you joy, what gives you passion, and over a period of time you will really see that scaling up. So identifying a secondary career, source of passion, and working towards it is very, very important. A big part of the 20s is about money. So be sensible about money. Don't chase jobs just because someone's paying you a lot, but what you're making, be sensible about it. Some of the mistakes you should avoid is don't buy real estate in your 20s. It's a very, very bad decision. Real estate, unless you're staying in it, is generally a very, very bad decision. There's a whole video I've made on this, but do not invest excessively in real estate. Be sensible about money. And there's a whole video I have on this in terms of how you can manage in your 20s. So we spoke about your education, we spoke about your main career, we spoke about your alternate career, we spoke about learning, we spoke about physical fitness, we spoke about money. It's also important to look at other aspects. So look at travel. I generally think every 6 months you should make a trip. And when I say a trip to the mountains, a trip to the beaches, a trip to a monastery, it's not a fancy trip to Europe, to be honest. It can be India, so beautiful, just head anywhere you want, but every 6 months, just take a break for a week and just go there, recharge your brain. 20s, you're physically fit, you'll really enjoy those experiences, and it will add a lot of value to your life. So I think these are the balls you should strongly consider, and the most importantly, have a bit of fun. Go out on a Friday evening, go to a new place, enjoy street food, go out with friends. So there'll be some up and down friendships, there'll be some ups and downs in relationships, but go through that. I think, again, the single biggest principle in life is all these balls that I speak about: education, primary career, secondary career, physical fitness, money, travel, fun, relationships. Do all of it and maintain the balance. Some you will do well, some you won't do well, but that's essentially what the 20s are about. I genuinely wish someone had told me this when I was younger, but at least you are getting to hear it from me. So let me know what your suggestions are, what your comments are, what your questions are. Drop them in the comments and suggestions box below. I'll try and respond to as many as I can. But before we end this video, do subscribe on the channel, click on the bell icon so that some very interesting videos like this I make, you come to know about it. So next time, take care.